Podcast, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret, undisclosed location in the heart of the very jolly state of Colorado this season. Here we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. Thank you for joining us this Christmas season. My name is Nicholas Razzo, and without further ado, I present to you all our fearless patron, Hugo Chavez Ray. Give it up for the Hispanic Patriot Podcast, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Hispanic Patriot. We're having some technical difficulties tonight, so I'm not in a good mood.
Hope none of you noticed, though, to be honest, on either accounts, and you probably won't, because we work very
Oh, yeah.
hard to bring it all to you guys.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. We were going to have a special guest tonight, a fellow podcaster from San Antonio, Texas, that reached out to us. So that means we're reaching out there into the Netherlands if they found us in San Antonio. So anyway, there. I haven't had a chance to view their podcast yet, but he's a young Hispanic former history teacher, and apparently they do some irreverent talk of the current events and do some funny things and do some serious things, but they kind of discuss it in a different format. So we're going to get to learn a little bit more about him and his podcast
Man,
and
he
hopefully.
sounds like he would be very much at home among the Colorado Hispanic Republicans, to be honest, given that description.
Yeah, I told him about that, and he said that was interesting. I'm gonna be connecting him with our friend George Rodriguez down in San Antonio, so he can get some support and some tips down there as well.
So
But
George Rodriguez, everybody, remember, we did do an interview with this fine gentleman, and you can find that interview pinned in the description below.
yes, he's going to join us in about 15 minutes. So let's start off with talking a little bit about what's going down in your neck of the woods with the illustrious mayor that seems to be pulling a Jussie Smollett down there. Uh,
Well, you already kind of spoiled the punchline there, to be honest, because that is kind of the gist of it. Very cleaned up version, of course, here. But indeed, indeed.
so
So
what have you heard down there? Because I haven't had a chance to really tune. I've seen a little bit of a snippet here and there, and I haven't been able to gather a whole lot of detail. But tell me what you know.
Well, right now we got a article from Colorado Springs, Pueblo, KKTV to kind of give everybody up to speed. That's in the green room right now. We'll bring that to you in just a minute. But basically, everybody, our mayor, for anyone who doesn't know, his name is Yemi. I'm gonna really try to pronounce this correctly. Mobolade. And he is running.
Marmalade.
Mar-
That's a that'll be his nickname, Marmalade.
That was a very unscripted moment, folks. I apologize. I almost died laughing right then and there. But yeah, so Mobolade, Yemi. That's probably why he went with his first name this entire time. For anyone who doesn't know, so El Paso County and Colorado Springs in general is extremely conservative. But we elected this year a sort of Democrat-leaning independent mayor-ish. Again, Nigerian-born. He was one of the first black mayors of Colorado Springs, which we've actually had one before. But basically, this weeds of firsts and kind of what you would expect from Democrats around this time has kind of sort of produced this mayor who I can only say is trying very hard to be a very serious politician. He's trying very hard. You'll see this in this is why Hugo, among my generation, there's a lot of jokes around, let's say, African news or politics or such, just because it's extremely sincere. And Yemi is a very sincere guy. I'm trying to sort of couch my criticism in a lot of nicety because he is my mayor. But basically, he may or may not have been, this is the problem. He may or may not have been involved in a hate crime hoax during the mayoral run that he had about a year ago. Basically saying that there was some defaced signs and a burning cross. Things that just kind of sound like they were
I remember the burning cross thing, and that turned out to be a bunch of BS.
No, because I mean, in modern day, I mean, you got to be thinking about it. If there's a burning cross, somebody's probably gonna snap like a video of it, be like, "Oh man, that's effed up." It's like, so that's what does modern man do when they see something effed up? They take out their phones and start videotaping it. There would be some evidence that this very dramatic thing happened, because also the KKK hadn't really had a lot of presence in Colorado. Like that was more of a east of the Mississippi type of thing. Even as far as Michigan and Minnesota, we don't really racists around here don't really do the burning cross thing. They have more of like a cowpoke kind of vibe around. So I have no idea why. But again, somebody who's not really connected to the area as much, like Yemi, I imagine this would be his and his team, of course. This is what he imagines a racist incident in the United States would be like.
Now, I heard this took place during the election, right?
Yeah.
So it was an attempt to garner sympathy for his candidacy, and they portrayed this guy. I remember clearly uh, as a moderate, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neither a lefty or a righty, but kind of down the middle type guy. And I was really taken aback when Colorado Springs elected this guy.
Yeah, I was too. Bill, you have to understand the alternative choice was somebody that people felt had too much connection with real estate developers. So there was a fear that, hey, we better have this guy who's kind of sort of a trained performer rather than somebody who might actually sell out the town. So it's interesting that someone could like not necessarily be a rhino because his opinions were right, right all there. But people can really fear if you have outside connections, especially to the powers that be, that usually kind of that really hurt us. Especially in Colorado Springs, we're really big about making sure that developers don't take over, that it's become a sort of playground for the rich. That's a left and right situation here. So that's one reason why Yemi here was actually able to win is that he had a very middle of the road, you could trust me from both sides kind of vibe.
Well, we're gonna christen him Yummy Marmalade.
No. Maybe if he starts an OnlyFans account, because of this, maybe that's where you'd have to go. But not wanting to think about it, basically, yeah, recent allegation in involvement in a hate crime hoax, where basically people were indicted for the campaign, and there was a question of whether or not Yemi actually knew about it or not. He basically goes into full denial mode, and I really can only have a piece of his like explanation kind of sell it because it's very funny, honestly. So tell me if you hear it.
And our community. One of my campaign signs was defaced with a racial slur, and a burning cross was placed in front of it. This incident has been under federal investigation. A few weeks ago, the U.S. Attorney's Office indicted 3 people suspected of this hate crime hoax. Since then, false claims have circulated about my involvement and have been amplified by a small group of politically motivated individuals.
Such a small group, I have to talk about it
have
right
become
here.
So ridiculous
Yeah.
that they've led to bogus reports in a Nigerian tabloid saying I was arrested by the FBI. Because I respect the judicial process and this remains an active case, I have intentionally not engaged with the gossip and fallen into political rhetoric.
Until
I
now.
have also
Yeah,
been
exactly.
seeking legal counsel so that I don't unintentionally jeopardize the prosecution.
I always talk to my lawyer about things
Now
that
that I
don't
have
matter at
received
all.
the guidance I
This
need
guy,
both from my personal attorney and
He
the
sounds a lot
prosecuting
like
attorney.
Jussie Smollett.
No,
When
that is the vibe. I mean, this is Juicy Smollett, like, to use a joke from a famous comedian. This is that literally that kind of level. I'm sorry, like that. This is unprofessional, man. This is embarrassing to have as your mayor. I feel like I'm back in Chicago again. Like
well,
the mayor is just doing absurd, ridiculous things.
the interesting question would be is if this turns out to be one of those types of cases, that sounds like it would be grounds for removal.
It would be. I mean, if it wasn't already the fact that he's kind of again just sort of an empty chair. He doesn't do anything bad, but he doesn't really do anything good either. Kind of like our own dear Queen Governor Polis.
Yep.
All hail the Queen. But basically, you have this guy Yemi, who I think he genuinely is kind of trying his darndest. But he reminds me very much of this sort of and I say transplant, this could mean California, Nigeria, China, it really doesn't matter. This sort of transplant politician where somebody sort of goes somewhere, they have the right vibe for the place, they aren't really for one political faction or another, and they just sort of get the trust of the people. I think Yemi isn't really a bad person, but he's not extremely competent. So you have situations like this where you have sort of what I would call, untied loose ends. I mean, if you know your campaign may have been involved in something like this, maybe deal with that before you become mayor. Don't just forget about that it happened. It's going to come up some other time.
Let's hear the rest of his little
The U.S.
defense.
Attorney's Office, I feel that I can publicly address what has become an unfortunate and unnecessary distraction. Unequivocally, I fully and truthfully cooperated throughout this investigation. I had no knowledge, warning, or involvement in this crime. I did not lie to the FBI. I voluntarily provided all requested communication without a subpoena. And I received and will be releasing a document from the Department of Justice.
I like how he has it right
reads
there.
That I was, quote, identified by law enforcement as a victim or potential victim.
Victim
during the
or potential
investigation of
victim.
the criminal case. End of quote.
This is like a script right out of Jesse's Smollett, man. I'm telling you.
It is. I mean, that is literally what this is. It's to help him beef up his case in case this goes any further, or to quell anything that has already come up. It's quite astonishing, honestly. So,
It is also important for me to be clear about the communication with one of the suspects that was noted in the indictment. Like many other elected officials in our community, I only knew him as a local media personality. I continue to appreciate local and federal law enforcement work in pursuing justice and sending a message that such reprehensible behavior will not be tolerated.
I really want, you got to wonder, is he talking about the potential reprehensible behavior of the people who faked the hate crime, or the non-existent crime? I mean, yeah. So that's why people in my neck of the woods are not exactly proud of Yemi right now, because this really does, like you said, it reads like something that he knew darn well, that this hoax was being carried out, that it would help him even if it got found out much later to be a hoax. And this was the vibe. This was honestly the vibe back in that time. So I mean,
Turn him off for a minute. I think we just got a little reaction came in from somebody we all know.
oh, very good.
Well, now my sound isn't working.
Are you sure it isn't that that Kamala's laughing persona is just not drunk on the floor right now, unable to make her usual laugh?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But this is going to be an interesting thing to keep up on. I want to see how this breaks out.
Yeah, me too.
We've been invited. I'll tell you a little more. But I got a call from the radio station down there, The Answer, and they want us to try to participate in doing some updates on a periodic basis with them. So
You hear that, folks? Isn't that something amazing?
Yeah,
our hard work is paying off, and we really appreciate it.
We're going to get up to 4 minutes to do topics that are, but they want them to be local down there. So you're going to need to help out on finding local topics to comment on, and then we'll record them, and then they'll play them on their radio show, which runs every day from, I think he said 3 to 4. And then there's an opportunity for them to promote our podcast.
So you hear that, folks in Colorado Springs? Make some interesting and very legal things happen for us to report on, please. That would be fantastic.
Oh, there's plenty to go around down there.
No, it's true. It's true. We Colorado Springs, folks, is a very active town.
Between the peak Republicans down there and the rest of that crowd, you're in the hotbed of where this coup group started.
We are. It's
So,
true, actually. It's very true. No, and
so
I've been actually fair witness to a lot of it.
but
I'd
we're
be more than
gonna
happy to.
we're gonna follow up on this Mayor Marmalade down there. And we'll be talking more in detail about that. So hopefully next week we'll have a bit more information about exactly who is what and what is what. So, and it looks like we're about ready for our guest, John from
Very
San
nice.
Antonio. So let's bring him on. He's a fellow Hispanic patriot down there. So welcome, John, to the show.
Hello, John. Welcome to the Hispanic Patriot Podcast.
Hey, how's it going? Can y'all hear me?
We
We
can
can
hear
hear you
you
very
great.
good.
Okay, I'm kind of hearing y'all a little low, so let me go ahead and adjust that. But how y'all doing?
Doing good.
It's warm in December. Can't really hate life right now.
Yeah. Hold on, real fast. I'm so sorry. I'm hearing y'all very, very low. But let's go ahead.
We're saying it's hard to hate life when it's this warm in December, my friend. I'm sure you know the feeling.
Yeah, we are definitely we're finally getting some winter in here over here in San Antonio. It's probably nothing to y'all. It's about I don't know, I would say about it was about 50 degrees earlier, and people are wearing their snow boots already, as they do in Texas.
It's 40 and
Yep.
we're wearing shorts. How about them? But John,
Yeah,
we're really
I
glad to have you on.
we most Texans would probably die if they were out in the 40-degree weather in shorts, man.
Oh no, they're dying to get out here. Actually, we got so many. Hugo, you know there's so many Texas plates out here these days.
Oh yeah. Well, I've
Are
I've
there?
been here. I've been here since the turn of the century, actually. Um,
Yeah,
and
we're getting a bunch of Californians out here, so we have an abundance
No.
of them. I know.
they didn't see the sign at the border. It says,
No, but luckily,
welcome to Texas. If you're from California, don't bring your stupid politics here.
definitely don't bring your stupid shit out here. Definitely. Um, I don't know if y'all were aware of it, but not too long ago, they were trying to get rid of the castle rule out here, and that was a big thing. And we were definitely like really upset about that. Like, y'all need to take that out somewhere else, man.
No, I agree with that, man. But here's the thing: in Texas, that's what you're fighting. We're fighting keeping the abortion out of our constitution, and that didn't work out so good. So no, it's like you guys, whatever you're doing, you're keeping your state, and you've kept it since this beginning, man. You know, Hugo also, you have a lot of. You and Greg Lopez have a lot of common. You have a lot in Texas, don't you?
I gotta,
Yeah,
you know,
and yeah, the problem I would say one of the biggest problems right now, and it affects me a lot more just because where I live. I live right by the illegal center, so
Ah,
I live like I would say I live about 15-minute walk, about a
the
5-minute drive.
the
Um,
detention
and,
center.
I know you used to live here. It's over here by North Star Mall where the old CPS building is,
Yeah,
and
shoot.
um, yeah, oh my God, it's really bad. It's gotten to the point. For a while, I had to tell my wife don't open the door at all for anybody. There's been a lot of
where the big boot is,
I'm sorry.
where the big boots are.
Yeah,
Ah,
so the big boots are. That's exactly where
Yeah.
it's at.
You
And
know,
we've had
I,
a lot of. We're on this neighborhood app, and there's a bunch of women talking about people chasing them. I personally had people kind of waving at me, doing kind of stuff like that. For a while, I remember. Right now, they actually have a. You might turn on your voice. Okay.
oh, you're
For a
good,
while,
John.
they
You're good,
are
John.
actually they have armed security actually at the McDonald's right there where it's at, and that's how bad it is. It's insane.
We
Like
got
they have
armed.
two
We
armed
got armed.
security.
We got armed security at our like. We got some gas stations around here. They have armed security at. But bro, it's like when we were kids, it was never like that. Like, and I say that all of us can say that when we were kids, it was never like that, man. That's what's crazy.
well,
Yeah, it's gotten really, really it's just upsetting. Like all the robberies going on and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know if you saw on the news, it came out on the national news that they're already raiding apartments like they do in Colorado with the Agua de Tren gangs overtaking apartment complexes and stuff like that. And it's getting really bad. And unfortunately, even in the schools, you'll see. I've had teachers tell me like there's 19, 20-year-old Venezuelan dudes coming into schools now, gang tattoos, and they're letting them into schools with a bunch of kids. not knowing, like, basically, a lot of teachers have told me they're recruiting and stuff like that. So it's really unfortunate. A lot of stuff going on in here as well. As everybody thinks, oh, it's Texas, everything's great and all that, and it's like, I love Texas. Don't get me wrong, but there's still a lot of problems with the immigration system, and we're getting hit we're getting hit hard as hell. So it's been an ongoing issue for sure.
Man, that's kind of hard. Go ahead, Hugo.
Can you hear me now?
No, I don't know why on my headset I can't really hear you. So
Oh,
that's
my
kind of
goodness.
unfortunate.
I can hear
but-
you, Hugo, so that's all right. I can hear Hugo.
Okay, I can hear y'all very very low, but I could still kind of figure it out.
Well, one thing that really messes up sometimes is we're up in the elevation in the mountains. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of challenges to get our word out there, but we overcome them. And I want to segue that for a second because we in the Hispanic community have faced and overcome a lot of challenges this election cycle. I think before, we just must say it very clearly that we were very quiet and very shy, very kind of low key. And I feel like we really came out during this election. What do you feel about that? Because I feel like the Republican Party made so much inroads with young Hispanic guys, Hispanic women. What do you think draws us to this politics right now? You know, it's different. What do you think draws us to it?
Well, I mean, like I tell everybody, the Hispanic culture, we're very conservative by culture. Like that's our culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up with my mom cooking and doing kind of the stuff, the dad going out to work. We have that kind of early bird gets the worm, right? That's what my dad said all the time. Like you're not gonna be a one and just sit in the bed lay in bed all day and do nothing. You're gonna actually go outside and do something. And
Very
this
nice.
whole victimhood that they're doing now, that's not part of our culture at all. Like at all. And just to see it happening in our in our neighborhoods and all that, where Hispanic people are talking about that. I was saying I have a background in education as a teacher.
Love
I had a
that.
kid one time. I had a kid one time come up to me and said, "Hey, sir, by the way, a lot of topics are very sensitive to me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." She goes, "Because I come from a place of oppression." And I was like, "Oh, okay," because she looked like a Mexican American, like she looked just like us. I was
Yeah.
like, "Where are you from?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm from Mexico." And I said, "Okay, so what do you mean by like you come from a
You
oppressive?"
mean like the PRI and the PAN and Pemex and all that, or like you mean like some dumb crap?
No. And then she comes up and goes, "You know how Spain oppressed us for many years?" And I was like, the white man in Spanish. And I'm like, that's so far. I mean, that's so behind us. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, man.
And she was using that like, I'm going to have to get out of class every now and then because some of these topics are very sensitive to me and my family because of the oppression that we've
Bro,
gone
it's
through.
like I got some really bad news for you. Like half your family, that's like where they are. Like it's like because what I always do with my oppressors is like I love them and I married them and I have like 300 years of family with them. Because being a history teacher, you know that that's not the whole story. It's not like Spain just showed up and wrecked everything. Like there was fighting and cooperation, just like every other human thing that happens. So it's like it's
Of
way more
course. I mean,
complex than that.
the only
And there's
reason
no kinda-
the Spanish were able to conquer those lands is because the tribes and they hated each other so much because they were oppressing each other and raping and pillaging each other. I mean, they had help from the other tribes to go take over, like the Aztecs and all these kind of things. And I would explain that to him, and she was real with Ita. So I'm like, you have probably half of your blood is Spanish blood as well. Like, come on,
Yeah.
like it's
The
insane.
Romans
but-
did to us too. The Romans did the same thing when they came to Spain. So it's just like that's what humans do. It doesn't mean we
Yeah.
hate each other. It just means we're kind of dumb. It's almost like we got fallen sinful nature or something. I don't know, man.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's so stupid. It's like, yeah, that's what people did. They conquered. People still do that. They conquer places. The stronger tribes are going to take over the weaker tribes, and that's just the way it is. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy because I do have a friend that moved out to Colorado, and she was telling me about how Texans are treated out there because they just automatically assume you're like conservative, and they kind of give them that kind of like, you're one of those kind of things. And I'm like, is that
Well-
true? How do y'all get along out there in Colorado?
I
Hugo
have,
knows a thing or two about that. Go ahead, Hugo.
I have a response for Coloradans that besmirch Texans, and that is, I point to a map from 1835,
Oh, here we go.
and I show them that Colorado used to be part of Texas,
It's true.
and we can take it back anytime we want.
You guys are taking it back right now on the roads and all the space you leave. No cap.
I'm-
Like
Yeah, that was I mean it's anecdotal, but that's what she was telling me, and I was like, "Is that like really?" And she goes, "Oh man, you would never believe like they just automatically assume like, oh, well, you don't really know because I mean you're from Texas and you kind like that kind of
Bruh.
stigma," and I was like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah, no, they try to pull that stuff with me, and I have a lot of Texan friends up here, and they like our money. That's for sure.
See,
They
I'm from
always love the money.
See, I'm from Chicago, so I get a completely different vibe. I either get like, "Oh man, I love the food there," or like, "So you see people get shot, right?" Like there's no in between when you tell people you're from Chicago. Like,
Oh man, Chicago, you're from the. I mean, talk about political
yeah,
corruption. You're from the homeland.
dude, I knew that 2020 was like messed up just by feeling it out because nobody acknowledged it back in the day because it's like, "Oh, it makes us look weak when we Republicans say we were frauded. It makes us look weak." It's like a lot of us young guys, we were saying, no, we want to shout at the rooftops this was happening. Everybody already knows. So I was happy when people were calling it out in 2020. I'm like, man, if we in Chicago started doing that under like daily, when we had fraud, because we had fraud that benefited us, you have to understand. Like they frauded in people that people actually liked. So like when they started frogging in all these criminals, like Lori Lightfoot and the next person and all this stuff, like even before that, then people were like, "Oh man, we didn't think you would do that to hurt us." It's like, man, they did it nationally on 2020. It really shows that they did it freaking under Kennedy. A lot of people say people did it under George W. Bush. So the idea that we can't talk about only one of these, man, that being from Chicago, I was like, bruh, we should have been talking about every single one, not just 2020. Like,
Oh yeah, I
but
mean,
it
where
was
2020, like that was the one thing. I mean, I've talked to many people. Like you would get suspended, you would get banned. I don't know how many times I got banned on Facebook, Twitter, or when it was Twitter and all kinds of stuff. Just saying, and just to say that was a normal election is, I mean, either you're lying to yourself or you're just playing. You're just that stupid. Like,
yeah,
come on. I mean, it
or
was
it
such a
benefits you.
it was such a ridiculous election, and I'm glad. But to be honest, I don't know how y'all feel, but for me, I'm glad Trump lost that one. At the
Yeah,
time, I
no,
wouldn't say
yeah,
that, but I'm glad because it actually rejuvenated, like, and re-energized the group for like 2024. And like you said, the Hispanic population came out in droves, especially the males. They came out and they started to vote red, and that's great. Seeing people like, especially the Hispanic people, it's like, what are y'all doing? Why are y'all voting against your interests? Because I will ask people, so you're for trans and kids, right? And they're like, no. And oh, the Democrats ain't doing that. I'm like, where the fuck you been?
yeah,
Because
they is
they
like,
are doing that. Are you hiding under a rock? Like, what are you talking about? There's like that. I was telling Hugo earlier about the Scrimetti versus U.S. Supreme Court case, and I was like, yeah, this is like this could change and alter like parents' rights for generations to come,
Yep.
and for people just not even to know about it. It's like this trans activist from the ACLU is going and saying parents shouldn't have a right to say. I mean, where they're saying it in different ways, but even if parents don't want to trans their kids, like they're going off of that Tennessee ruling, that they can and Tim Waltz, he was the one that in Minnesota where they could leave and they won't be obligated to tell the parents where the kid's at. That is insane to me. And I got two kids. Like if you want to draw a line in the sand, that's way back there for me because that's crazy that they would do something like that and nobody's fighting against it. Like, dude, try to
Well,
tell a Latino I'm taking your kids away because they want to be girls. Like, try to tell,
yeah, no,
like,
that ain't happening.
yeah,
I
Because
believe
yeah,
you're gonna have to get them from my
I believe
those
that
dead hands.
2020, in hindsight, turns out to be a blessing in disguise because I think that what's taken place over the last 4+ years has proven fatal to the Democrat Party, and they're in disarray right now. They don't know how to act. They can't believe the margin by which Trump won. I kept telling them, but they wouldn't listen to me. Uh, uh, I had this thing pegged all the way. I was confident, not overconfident, but I
he
was
was,
confident.
and he predicted well.
And
That's
I
awesome.
told them, I said, you watch the percentage of Hispanics that turn out for Trump, and the percentage of the black community that turned out for Trump, and other minorities, Asian minorities as well. They all turned because the debacle, I guess, the clown show that we've been watching for the last 4 years um, has exposed them for who really controls that party. it's a sad statement because, I mean, uh, full disclosure, I'm a former Democrat, but I haven't voted Democrat since 1980.
Oh
And,
wow.
that I was the last guy I voted for was Carter. And then I heard
Why?
Ronald
No, I'm
Reagan speak. Yeah. And I heard Ronald Reagan speak in 1970, late 1979. And that was it for me. It was like a light switch turned. But the guy that was elected in 1976 was a result of the Nixon debacle and the Republican situation with the Watergate and uh, all the scandals that were taking place back then. So he was kind of a reverse Trump back then, in the sense that the country had gone through, the
Kind of
Nixon
almost an
years.
Obama, honestly, in a lot of ways, in that sense.
Well, yes and no, but what I say that to say this, it was a time when we were going through some really bad economic times. We had shortages of gas. People would line up for blocks to fill up their tanks, and
I remember seeing
uh,
old news footage of that.
we had
yes, that
we
was
had
the
interest.
OPEC thing, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
we had interest rates in the 20s. It was like ridiculous, and so that served to lead us into the Reagan years, and he did a good job of exposing everything. And he won two back-to-back historic landslides simply because of what the Democrats had done between 76 and 80. Now, say what you want about Mr. Carter. I firmly believe that he was a good man with a good heart, but he had no brain to run the country.
That was
He,
what that bad Democrats used to be before they got all evil and shit.
yeah,
I
yeah,
totally agree. No, I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he's a Democrat, and he's one of those like default Democrats. Like he's just gonna vote Democrat. He has no reason, no rhyme or reason. He's just like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna vote Democrat.
The ruling
And I could
party.
like argue with them, and he was like, yeah, you're right, but I'm still gonna vote Democrat, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But anyways, he's telling me too, and I'm talking to him, and I'm saying, I hope with this election, I really do hope, but I don't think it's gonna happen. And I made a video about that. I was like, are Democrats gonna go back to the center, or are they gonna double down? And it just looks like they're just doubling down. I mean, they were at the point in Joe Scarborough's show, they called Mexicans and black people what they call them, homophobic and
yep,
Yeah,
and
all of
yeah,
us.
racist and misogynist and all that. And for me, everybody got pissed about it, and I was like, keep that fucking rhetoric up, man. I want them
Yeah,
to amp
really.
that shit up because it's just gonna drive more people to us. So that was my
Well,
impression.
and another thing really important is their true colors. Like they always thought this. Like you understand. Like when I was a younger kid working with the Republican Party, I used to get Democrats who were confused at me. It's like, well, you're like a younger Hispanic kid. What are you supporting Trump for? And I said, well, I support Trump because I'm Hispanic. I think he's going to do good for Mexico. I think he's going to do for all of. And they said, well, it must be because you look like a white Hispanic. Like they didn't listen to my words, man.
yeah,
They tried to say, well, you must just be stupid. There must be
You're
something
one of
wrong with
those.
you.
You're one of those white beaners.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
I'm
man, the white beans ain't bad either, and you know what I mean. And that's another thing. Another thing Hispanics prove that I love because I used to breed horses. That's what my family did. We would look at the genealogy of the horse and everything like that.
Hmm.
Hispanics prove that race has nothing to do with color. You could be all kinds of colors, and that don't change who your mommy and daddy was. Like we care about where our families come from because our whole family comes from the whole world. We got Arab Christians from the Middle East. We got Africans. We got European. We got indigenous, different kinds of indigenous. We got Japanese in Peru. We got Chinese everywhere. We got a lot of people from different places. So the leftist racial rhetoric doesn't work with us because they can't section us out and divide us and conquer us. If they attack one group of people, they're inevitably attacking family from some part of the Hispanic community, not to mention all of it together.
Yeah,
So
and
if they
it
hit
is
one
just
group, they hit all of us.
yeah. I mean, it's just Marxist identity politics, and it doesn't
Exactly.
lead to anything good. It just leads
that's
to
We
more and more
disprove
division,
that
and that's what they
nonsense.
love. I mean, they're over there talking about black only, black only graduations and stuff like that, and it's like we're just
I know.
regressing. We're not
So where do
progressing in any
Where
way.
do Dominicans go? Where do Dominicans go then, right?
Yeah, and it's even like whether we're talking about Kamala Harris believes in reparations. She comes from slaveholders,
Yeah.
so is
So
she
is
gonna
she
give
gonna pay out?
reparations? It's
I'd
like,
love to
what is
get
she
money from
getting then?
Kamala Harris, man. That'd
Let's
be a
start
nice.
with you,
Oh.
bitch. Oh, sorry. I know y'all don't cuss too much, but sorry. Let's start with that chick. Let's start with her. Let's give up your money. Now, I don't know if y'all got to see that. What is it? What is it? Matt, the one from Daily Wire, his movie.
Oh
Am I
yeah,
Ra-
Matt Wald. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Did y'all watch that? Am I racist?
Yep.
Oh,
I
that
went
was
to see
a
it.
great
I
movie.
went to see it. That was I was in stitches, man. I couldn't believe it. And the crowd that was in the theater, it was a full house when I went.
I can believe that.
I went to see it on opening night, and I was expecting people that were gonna be kind of taken aback from it, but I mean, people enjoyed it, and then I could hear the murmuring and the talking after on the way out, and so it went over really well. I thought so. The crowd was probably fairly conservative, and there was probably a few in there that weren't, but they weren't very vocal if they were. Uh, but yeah, that was a good illustration. I mean, that was really well done, and I'd like to do. Um, I'd like to buy the movie and go do some events around town and invite minorities to it and see the reaction, because the when I first saw the title, I wasn't sure, but then I read a little bit about it, and they actually had Matt on one of the local radio shows here
Oh,
uh,
that's awesome.
ahead of the movie release, and so after hearing him talk, I said I got to go see this, and I went, and it was great. So I think it's a good movie to show, especially young people that are caught up in this culture and all the stupidity, because it does a really good job of pointing out the stupidity
Yeah,
of
the
of the
absurdity.
woke
For sure.
of the woke crowd. It's like what Rush used to say: you use absurdity to demonstrate absurdity, and that's what this movie reminded me of. Rush would have loved this movie because he really did a good job of highlighting all the key points and making the points, and you couldn't walk away from it and say, oh, well, that's not how it is. It's exactly how it is.
Yeah,
It's
that's
proving
exactly
the
how it is.
hypocrisy right there, like direct proving the hypocrisy. Because you don't understand, like, John, you look a little bit older than I am. Like, our generation got hit super hard with the anti-racist crap, like like the total woke stuff. Like, we were like the guinea pigs, with the millennials were like the guinea pigs for what like poor Gen Z is going through in younger generations. So like
I'm sorry. Did you just assume my age?
I did, Vato. What you gonna do about it, bro? No,
No,
because
I'm 41 years old, by the way, so probably I'm a
well,
little older
no,
than you. Look young.
honestly though, like all of us are treated like we're younger because there's disrespect. You know what I mean? And Hugo's treated like at least like he's 25. Like, but he can run circles. You understand? We were at the Republican National Convention, and he was running circles around us. Like, another thing is like Hugo, when you were a Democrat, see, you weren't exactly a Democrat. You were like an old school hippie. That's not the same thing as like a Democrat. So what it is
Yeah,
Hugo.
that's true.
That's what it is.
Hugo prides himself on being at the cutting edge of cool, no matter what age or era he's in.
Yeah,
That's really what it is.
I was at Woodstock, so
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Cutting
you
edge
lived
of
a
cool,
good
man.
life. Look at you.
He was
Wow, that's why you were a Democrat for the girls' reasons, huh? That's what it is.
yeah.
It's like nowadays, like these woke feminists. It's like, man, I know you're trying to get laid. Let's just say
Yeah,
it.
bro. That's
You're
part
trying
of
to
it,
get
bro. It's
laid.
so true.
Anything
See,
you gotta say. It reminds me of that Dennis Reynolds skit on where he does on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he just says, just regurgitate the same shit that they say back to you, and they just love to hear themselves talk and
Yeah.
like be reassured that their ideas are good, and then by the time you know it, he's already
But I got to say the girls back then were actually a lot more thoughtful in their rhetoric. They weren't
Just
empty.
regurgitating stuff.
They weren't empty heads like a lot of the young women are today.
Oh wow.
It's really they.
Where they were spitting on veterans and stuff. So
Well,
Yeah.
that was a different crowd. Now they because I graduated in '68, and I lost three classmates in Nam, and definitely there was a lot of anti-war sentiment going on, but those that knew veterans that had died over there, they weren't the type that were spitting on veterans
yeah,
to
no, I
come
know.
out.
I was
People that
just
had no.
But
generalizing.
that was the thing. I hated that, and I denounced it
So
because
it was like kind of like how people go too far on the left that even leftists will condemn certain
I mean,
things.
look at that idiot Kerry throwing his fake medals over
Yeah,
the
man.
White House fence. I mean, that was
But
so stupid because it was exposed later that the medals he was throwing over weren't actually his real medals.
He's not
You
losing nothing.
know, they were
of
just
course,
fake.
it's all virtue signaling, man. That's all it is. It's
Yep.
like who can virtue
Feeder.
signal the most. But one thing I do love, especially about the MAGA movement, is I do love it's anti-war and it's like the rhinos are still they'll rhino, that's what they do. But I love like and that's why I say like I've been a conservative for a while, but I do more relate to like the MAGA conservatives, not the ones that like everything Trump says is gold. Like no, I want to question authority no matter who it is. I don't care who it is. That's the way I do it because I like to seek truth, and everybody should be on that level of seeking truth, no matter who it is. You
That's
gotta.
why our motto. That's our motto, man. The truth and nothing but the truth. So help us
Yeah,
God. It's
exactly.
true.
And that's why I like with when Trump came along because he gave a lot of Republicans a pair of balls, where
Yeah.
they were like, okay, we're gonna, and I was talking to Hugo about that, where they're gonna say we're gonna fight back with the rhetoric, because the media, I mean, the media is so biased. They're just
Well,
collapsing, and I
you
love
know
to
what's
see it.
going to be
Yeah.
funny? You know
They're
what's going
getting
to be
about
funny?
20,000 views on MSNBC.
If
That's how sad it is, and I
if
can't wait till that thing is just swallowed by its own asshole.
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
this
Well,
is what I was
Hugo.
just about to say. If Elon Musk ends up buying
Oh,
MSNBC,
I'd love that.
that is going to be the cherry on the top of the cake because
Ah,
he's going to turn MSNBC into another Fox type network, but probably even more to the right than Fox, and that's not hard to do nowadays because actually Fox has kind of gone from up here down,
Oh, they're
and
well,
centrist
yeah,
for sure. Fox
exactly.
is.
And
I don't even see Fox as a
well,
bastion of conservatism.
I never
They
understood how we ever got our news from a news agency that was owned by a guy who's Australian. It's like you'd think that the greatest
but
American news
now
program for conservatives would be owned by an American.
Rupert is not in control now; it's his
Yeah,
kids.
that's true. That's a
That's
good point right
that's
there.
I liken it. I'm a lifelong Yankees fan, so I remember the boss George Steinbrenner, and when he passed away and his kids took it over, it's a different ball game in New
Oh,
York.
dude, at our horse racetrack, Arlington Park Racetrack, it was the exact same thing. Is that we had a guy, his name was Duchessois. He was a military governor in World War II, man. He was like a badass dude. But his kids took it over. They didn't want it, and so they turned it over to the Bears, who tore down the stadium. So this always happens, man. And I think we in the Hispanic community, we don't like that because we had to work so freaking hard just to give a chance to our kids. That's what we saw from our parents. They
Yep.
sacrificed their whole lives for us. Man, we got people who would sacrifice their kids' lives now in war and economic depravity and all kinds of unjust laws and abortion just for their own lives. That completely goes against our Hispanic culture, the way that we understand life. It's like, no, we sacrifice for the future. We don't demand the future be sacrificed for us right now.
Yep.
especially where y'all are at, right? You could get an abortion up to 9 months, right?
And it's in the Constitution.
Yeah,
now.
and they
It's
tried to
right.
deny it. It's ridiculous how people got duped.
Yeah.
They spent gazillions of dollars up here running fake ads and lying to the people so badly. It wasn't even funny.
Well, there's no
And
justification for killing a kid. I mean, killing
No,
a
there
kid at
isn't,
9 months. Like,
No,
I
there
understand
isn't.
where people are like centrist on the abortion issue, and like me, I'm a conservative, but I'm not really like a big religious. But I think Bill Burr said it best, even though I don't like his politics. He said, He goes, I'm okay with you having an abortion, but you got to admit you're killing the baby. I
Yeah,
don't know if
like
y'all saw that.
be
And I'm not
truthful
saying
about
that,
it.
that
Yeah.
people should be killing babies. I'm just saying, like, I agree with that. Like, if you're going to have abortion, you got to stop saying, oh, it's just a clump of cells. Like, no, you're killing the baby.
Yeah.
Let's get that straight. But yeah, 9 months. I mean, third trimester, that's already, I mean,
That's
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 It's a
murder.
human
I mean,
being.
infanticide.
Yeah.
there's
It's
no
the,
justification. Like, you could say the first
yeah,
trimester. I know you wouldn't agree, but I could see people like kind of at least coming to some common ground there. But when you're talking like second, third trimester, that's insanity to me. And just to be able
yeah.
It goes
to
into
do
the
that,
non-biased perspective of no, nobody should be okay with this because being okay
yeah,
with this means our society has failed. We've failed if we have to kill babies like that. Like something's wrong. But that's true. Like they'd
it's
rather
child sacrifice is what it is.
yeah, let's be honest. Like, there's
It's evil.
benefit to it. They're making money from it. That's how Planned Parenthood can keep going. That's how all these places keep going. There's money involved, and there's politics involved because it helps the politicians and
Yeah,
everything. It's
don't.
follow the money. It's follow the money type
And
stuff.
for people on the fence, just do some research on Margaret
Yeah,
Sanger. I mean, Jesus Christ. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
really. That's
just
like
do a little
Wow.
research on that lady. And
you want to talk
you would,
about black oppression? Like,
I know.
bruh.
Yeah, it's all like it's just insane. But I am curious. How are y'all? How do y'all feel about that Daniel Penny case?
I think it was decided correctly. I had a feeling that with the sentiment that was going on in New York, that this was going to turn out this way. It almost didn't. It looks like they had some that wanted to convict, but
Some shenanigans for sure.
the ones that did not want to convict stood their ground, and they finally wore the rest of them down. So I'm glad that the results came out the way they did. And the next thing they need to do up there is get rid of that idiot Alvin Bragg.
Alvin
Yeah.
Bragg. I mean, he's
He,
such a scumbag.
he
But
is
I was
Soros
under the
bot.
impression. I don't know what y'all. I thought he was going to get convicted. I did not see.
Well,
I
after
did not
seeing
see
Chauvin
how
like
Rittenhouse
that, like I thought
situation at the end of that.
it was
Did you
basically
see?
like it's a, go
Yeah.
ahead, Joe.
Well, there were some people that thought that they might, but I was hearkening to the rhetoric that was going on in New York. I have friends in New York. My brother lived up there for 25 years, and the the things that have been taking place in New York over the last 18 months, I think, served to turn that thing around and show that, hey, here's a good guy that stood up and saved some people probably from God knows what, and he did what he needed to do, and people were grateful for it. And
And he has a history of hitting, like, assaulting old people, a lady and a man, a 60-year-olds.
yeah,
Yeah,
they got
he was, and then they try to portray him as a Michael Jackson impersonator. Like, get out of here.
It's like,
And I don't even know I don't know if y'all saw that interview with those BLM activists where he's all, we need some black vigilantes.
oh
Did you
yeah,
see?
yeah. Go ahead and try that in New York
Yeah, he
now.
was like literally saying we need black vigilantes to choke out white people, and when they are choking us out, and it's like like Daniel Penny didn't just walk up and say, I'm gonna go choke out a black guy on the subway. Like, come on. I mean, this dude's
but
obviously a
that's the
crackhead. He was threatening people, and he neutralized the threat. That's what happened.
well, and he's
Yeah.
trained to do that, man. That's where he's training from. And like you said, that's the Marxism at play because basically what they want the black community to say is, look, you attack somebody of our color, you attack all of us. It's like, no, because if you're a criminal, if you're someone who hurts other people, you're not part of any community. That's how it works. That's how you're outcast from every community. So I have no idea why, whether it's George Floyd in a gold casket or this guy or whoever it is, it's like, oh, you hit somebody of our color, you hit all of us. It's like, man, that is trying to tie you to something that you're not. You're not a criminal. The black community is not criminal, but they want to tie the two together. It's always the media and these judges who benefit, the prosecution, the attorneys, they all benefit from this paradigm. So they keep it going. And it's
Oh yeah.
amazing how it took all these Americans coming together, black, Asian, Latino, white, everybody, allowing Donald Trump in this movement to say, hey, we have seen through that. You're not going to convict this guy over this. I think to a certain degree, I think Donald Trump's victory had a place of playing with this because they know that their power is about to be
Well,
taken into account.
what
But
they
that's a
saw,
dangerous place to be, though, because when they know their back's against the wall, they're gonna do anything and everything to kind of get that power back. So that's one
That's
thing
true.
people
We
need
gotta
to
be careful.
people need to be vigilant and really kind of get the right news and kind of stay on top of things, because they're gonna come after a lot of conservatives.
Don't just stop because Trump won. Don't
Huh?
just stop because Trump won. That's the main thing.
And yeah, they're gonna do some shit. I don't trust those people. We've seen what they can do in the last 4 years. I mean, look at what they've done, and it's just insane that people just don't even see it. They're just like the bird box, just have the blinders on, and it's like, bro, you don't see what the fuck's going on. Like,
Even after they try to kill Trump twice, they only tried to kill Trump twice in order to get people to see it. Like,
they just shot him in the ear.
oh man, oh yeah, just
I love how
whatever.
people told me they just shot him in the ear. I was like, are you serious? Like, let me shoot at you in the ear and see if that don't rattle you a little bit.
So we all Chicagoans now, is what you're saying. All right, fine, whatever.
Now, it's the rhetoric is ridiculous, and anybody that knows anything about BLM is basically knows that it's a Marxist organization. The founders are self-described Marxists. They don't even hide it.
Yeah, they said they want to get rid of the nuclear family. I mean, and then they took it off their charter right when people started to notice that right away it was out of there, and it's like and that's just out of Mao's playbook, right? Like, take out the nuclear family, and then the state becomes daddy, and the state tells you everything that you need to know and what to do and everything else, and that's all it is. And that's why they're trying to push kids being in school at 2 years old, because they know they can. The younger that they start them, they can indoctrinate them. And being in the education system when I was before,
I like this.
I've seen the indoctrination like firsthand, and it's insane. I think I was telling you earlier, I've had white principals take me to the office and say, "Hey, sir, you're being really racist towards Hispanics." And I'm like, "Are we in the same fucking white dude from this Connecticut or something?" And I'm like, "Really?" Because we have a Teach for America. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but a lot of schools have Teach for America. It's this really radical leftist program where they just get a bunch of rich kids or a bunch of people from urban and nice areas, and then they put them in the ghettos with all the Mexicans and the blacks, right? Just so it's kind of like their little pet projects. Like, hey, I used to teach, underprivileged youth and all that kind of stuff. And they come in and they push their agenda. I mean, I'm talking like big time. Like, women are oppressed, the pay gap. Oh, you're oppressed because you're brown. I had a lesson one time where I refused to teach, got in trouble for it, but they were trying to tell me right on the board, and it said oppressors, oppressees, and it had oppressors, and it said white people, oppressees, POC, people of color. And I was like, I'm not teaching that shit. Yeah, and I had white kids in my class, and I'm like, how shitty do you think they would feel to see their like race up there as their oppressors? They have nothing to do with what happened before. Yep. But you're telling me like I need to teach this? And I was like, nah, I ain't teaching that. And I got in trouble, got written up, but they wrote it as something else, insubordinate. But I didn't care. I stuck my ground because I'm one of those people. I ain't gonna do something that I don't like, and I didn't do it.
Well, you're hurting other people if you did. I mean, that's the thing. They're trying to force teachers to hurt kids. Because like one question I have is like, so my mom is Polish. What slaves did we have? Who did we oppress in Africa? You know what I mean? We didn't have a country for like 100 years. Like, not all the different white ethnic groups are so different from each other. Like, they have whole different histories. Same with black groups. The black groups in the west of Africa didn't have the same history as the east. Even in our Hispanic world, me being Mexican and Hugo being Peruvian, that's two different histories. Yeah, there's a bunch of shared beautiful stuff, but there's differences too. So what I don't like about the Democrats especially is they see difference when there's similarity, and they see similarity where there's difference. They see total monoliths when there's a lot of diversity, and they see diversity when there's just one answer to something. It's completely backwards. It's backwards is what it is, and we're just tired of it. We really are tired of it.
It's even like that in the Mexican American community when you're like,
that
American. Like I grew up around Hispanic people in Texas, and Texas is a little different from California because I remember when I lived in Cali, I lived in San Diego for a little bit, and like everybody was first generation. In Texas, I mean, most people are third, fourth generation.
Colorado too.
Native Texans. Like my family was in Coahuila, or my family was here, like when it was Mexico, and I could talk to 20 Hispanic guys, 20 Mexican American, just like me, Mexican American, like from Texas. We don't all think the same. Like it's stupid to assume like, oh yeah, we're all gonna think the same. And like my wife, she's from Japan. I lived in Japan for like 6.5 years. My wife's from Japan, so one of her friends was married to this white man, and white man. I don't know why I say it like that. But he was married to this white- I sound how stupid. But he's married to this white dude, and then one of their friends, another Japanese girl, was dating this white guy, and she was calling the other girl saying, "Hey, tell me more about white people, and do they do this? Do they do this?" And I said, and I was looking at my wife because she's like, "Oh, I don't know." She's helping her understand like white people. I said, "They're not the fucking same.
Yeah, they're not all the same.
They could be totally different, and especially like you just said, how many different types of white people are there? And
Yeah.
even if they are the same, like ethnicity, everything, like race and everything, they're gonna be different. I mean, me and my brother were different, and we have the same parents. You know, we're totally different. Like, and I hate that generalization. Like,
There's
that you have
levels
to
to
be the
stuff,
same
man.
because you
Yeah.
are Hispanic. And I really love how woke leftists would, especially when I lived in Japan, they would tell me, "Hey, where are you from?" And I'm from Texas, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're American. I'm sorry." And this was before 2020, right? Because I was living out there before, and I'd be like, "Why are you sorry?" And they're all, "Well, Trump's trying to deport your people." And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, man, that's why I'm here in Japan.
Yeah, I've gotten so much of that. I'm a coconut, and I'm people online will get on to see my name, Hugo Chavez Ray, and they'll say, "You're so stupid. You don't even know that Trump hates you and he's going to deport you and all your family." And I said, "Dude, I've been here since 1957. I was 7 years old. Okay, I'm as American as you are, probably more, and I understand history better than you ever will. And I know what I'm talking about. And you
Exactly.
people, get fed all this nonsense from the left and the media, and you just lap it up with like a bunch of lapdogs instead of doing your own research and learning what is really going on."
Well,
Oh,
one one thing
it's an
learning that
NPC
I want.
culture for real. I mean for sure, it's an NPC culture. I mean,
Yeah,
and
you're
yeah,
right about that.
I don't even see myself like coconut or nothing like that. I'm just American. Like I'm Latino, but I'm American because I'm not white on the inside. I'm not nothing. I'm who I am.
Exactly.
I
Amen.
don't
Look at
like,
that.
group myself, and I'm not saying like what you're saying wrong. I'm just saying like for me, I don't
Yeah.
really group myself with anything because it's like,
No, I
yeah,
don't call myself that. I'm saying that's what they call me.
okay. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
when they
never
tell
call
me, like,
yourself that now, would you?
no,
No,
no, because I've heard that too. A Twinkie, brown on the outside.
they look,
Oh,
they
I've
look
even
at
been
me and
called
says,
Uncle
"You're not
Juan
from Peru." I
a
said,
couple times actually.
"Yeah, I am.
but
Want to see
that's
my
the
birth
thing, you know.
certificate?"
But that's
But
the thing is that that's what we're helping to break down as Hispanics.
Yes.
It's funny how we're helping to break down the racist Democrat machine. It's really funny how things are kind of the opposite of what we were told our entire lives. And it takes time for people to realize that, And now that's why, John, I really liked what you said at the beginning of all this, saying, thank God that Trump lost in 2020, because it's going to make this victory in 2024 last all that much more. It's going to be
Yes,
that
and
we got it taken away. We understand how important it is now.
and the young people got to see firsthand. Look at
Yeah.
how you lived under a Republican president, a Republican administration. People were living good from 2016 to like 2019 until
Total
COVID hit.
contrast.
They were living great, and then they got to see from 2021. I'm sorry, 2021 to now, and it's been total shit. And they see it. They're like, I can't afford groceries. Yeah, I know. I can't afford this. I can't afford gas. Gas. I mean, everything. It's like rents up. I mean, insurance, car insurance, home insurance, everything
oh
is
my
up.
God,
And
Crime
then,
is up.
not only do they not double, they triple and quadruple down. They're like, screw it. You know what? I'm gonna go take a trip to Africa. Give them $1 billion. Hey, give them
I'll
76
tell you what I
Hey, well, give me
recommend.
money,
What
buddy.
is it? That's like,
Now,
If you know
Syria.
any,
Let's
you
give
know
Syria
any
more
young,
Syrians. Like, come on.
what
if
you
you
got,
know any
Hugo?
young greenies out there, uh, tell them to watch Landman, that new show on Prime.
I've heard, I heard.
It was, and I'm sorry, Paramount, and it it's about the oil industry. And this young lawyer comes in, and she was talking about the wind and
The
the green
windmill.
energy and stuff. And Billy Bob Thornton is the guy, is the main character in the show, and he points out to her the hypocrisy of the left and the environmentalists who think that because they're building these windmills that don't produce crap and solar that don't produce crap.
You saw that
And
firsthand in Texas during the snow vid.
yeah,
Yeah, really, exactly.
and but he points it out, and it's a very well written show in the sense that it's showing the the oil industry versus the green energy people. And one of the things, whenever I run across a young person who is, in that mindset, I look at them and I say, okay, let's think for a minute that we're going to do the green thing. I said, are you prepared to give up that cell phone you're holding, the car you're driving, half the products that you use and
Makeup.
wear? And I said, where do you think all that comes from?
Well, not only that, but we also want to make sure they stop speaking English or Spanish, because both are horrible European languages. They got to learn native language. Also, all the clothes they wear, they have to get rid of those. Amazing how little you have left when you hate everything that went into your civilization. And we don't have to hate ourselves. That's the main thing and the main lesson that I want to share with everybody.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, all
that guilt, all that, especially like white people, all that white guilt. Like, dude, that's just insulting to me. It's like you don't have to
keep you down. That's all it is.
Don't tell me like I'm not on your same level. That's insulting. I see that as an insult. Like, oh, I'm sorry, my people. Like, your people don't do shit to me. Shut up.
Human beings. We're human beings, and number one, that's all that matters. Is we're human beings, and we are Americans in this country, and we are gonna make it great again. That's the big message.
And I heard Landman is like the better version of Yellowstone.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. But
it's a different topic.
Thinks he is. I love him. I think he's a real badass. He's a great actor, and I definitely need to watch that. And I did see that everybody's floating around that scene that you're talking about with the windmills, where he just puts them in their place, and it's kind of embarrassing. It's just,
I mean,
where that just shows you too that woke, like writing that's not woke is what's selling now. Like nobody wants to see these little transgender Star Troopers. Like, no, I don't want to see a Star Trooper with a bulge, It's like I don't want to see all this. Like everybody wants like entertainment that's not woke, because that's the good stuff. Like it is, and it tells a story. And it tells it well.
One reason why we like anime so much in our generation.
It's reality, what it is.
Yep, reality. That's what we're here for, folks. We bring you reality.
Hey, we're up against the clock, so we're gonna have to leave this fun discussion for a future day.
John's just gonna have to come back on sometime.
I love it, man, and I really had a good time. Thank y'all for sharing your platform with me.
I think we need to try to collaborate more, and we'd like to come and visit you guys when you do your show.
Absolutely.
And
our show's a little rough, though. I would just say for your audience, not like you can't handle it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know if your audience, they listen to y'all with the kids. Like our show definitely don't have the kids listening.
Think about it think about it this way. Our show is like a Mexican wedding party, like a Mexican party from like 4 p.m. to like 10 p.m. We can definitely exactly. You'll be the one into the night, you know what I mean? Like a 9-year-old's birthday party that goes till 4 in the morning,
Yeah, you put the kids on the chair, let them sleep, and you know how we.
That's how we do, But that's the thing. We offer both sides. We offer all the parts of life that we've been missing, both the clean and a little bit rough. That's what we are.
That's awesome, and I really enjoy talking to you guys. It's really fun. Hopefully, like you said, America's gonna get back on track, and we'll see a lot of progress, a lot of innovation, and a lot of heads rolling from corrupt officials, and we can go forward and have a populist president do what the people want.
With the new administration, we're going to have plenty of ammunition here in the next 6 weeks. Things are going to get really interesting.
So rest up, everybody. Rest up.
We're hoping, we're hoping for peaceful transition, but you never know. There's going to be some rabble rousers out there, but I think this time around, law enforcement is going to be on top of it, and they're not going to be beholden to anybody in these groups that think that they're going to cause chaos. They're going to find out real quick that law and order is coming back.
Amen.
And,
January 20th can't come soon enough.
No, it can't. But we got to enjoy our time before that.
I really want to thank y'all. And if you want to watch us, we're just at Samurai-Blitz333. Me and two of my friends, and we kind of just
we're gonna tune in and check it out
and talk about politics here and there in a funny way. And
I'm gonna send you George Rodriguez's contact info. You can connect with him. He'll sit down and have breakfast with you, and
that'd be awesome.
And you got a lot in common, I think, of what he's doing. He's looking he's looking to connect with young people as well. He's closer to my age, but he's been around, and he's got his own radio show. He speaks everywhere, and he's very, very up to date on all the topics, and he'll be able to give you some feelers for South Texas, especially.
Man,
See that, John? You're
I really
designated
appreciate
young
that connection, man. That's awesome, and I really do.
Yep.
That's great. I would love to connect with more people out here and connect with people everywhere. Especially, it's cool to talk to some people in a liberal state. I'm sorry, I'm sorry you live in that place.
Temporarily liberal. You got to remember what Colorado means, my friend. To turn red. It's in our destiny.
I hope
Yeah.
so, man.
I want you guys to watch for our midterm election 2026. We got some big plans, and I want everybody to be excited for it.
Everybody talks about
I hope for
the
you guys,
Texas
especially,
thing.
man. I
Yeah,
hope so.
ready for
I was there. I was proud to be in Texas when we turned it from blue to red. So I was a part of that movement, and I'm proud to have that legacy.
And now we're gonna do the same for Colorado.
Yeah,
So thank
we
you,
got
everybody.
to, and yeah, I know they've been saying for the longest time, Texas is purple, it's gonna turn blue, and as you saw this time around, even the border towns were all red, and I was like, oh my god, give them a hand,
Represent.
give them a hand. It was
They
beautiful.
turned 8 out of the 10 top counties on the border went red.
Yes,
and
it was great,
And
and
that's
people
never
just tired of
happened.
it. I mean, you can only get trampled on so long before you finally get a backbone and stand up for yourself, and that's what people need to do. It's that cowardice, that bullshit that they're doing. Yeah, it's time to grow a pair and actually say what's going on. Like, this is
Yep.
what's going on. We're getting invaded by a bunch of people that not only don't share our values, that come in and bring a lot of luggage and also a lot of crime. And yeah, we're tired of it because we want to, like everybody else, we want to raise our families. We want to be safe, and we want to just work hard and make as much money as we can and live a good life. And
The American
Give it
dream.
to our
That's
kids.
what we want back. The American
Yeah.
dream back.
All right. Well, good meeting you, and we look forward to more collaboration between us. So
yes,
good luck.
and you got to tell me some old hippie stories, brother. I would love to hear.
You got it, man.
Alright.
So you can find John's YouTube channel in the comments below. Thank you,
Thank
John,
you.
so much for coming
Alright.
on with the Hispanic Patriot.
All right,
Take
have a
care.
great one.
Yeah. Thank you, John, fellow Hispanic Patriot.
Yeah. All right. We're way over time, so we're gonna say good night and
Yes.
God bless. Merry Christmas. Enjoy family. We're gonna be doing more here in the next few weeks, and but it's the best time of the year, and
It
we
really
got-
is. It really is. So
we got a
please,
great-
everybody, we will have a jam-packed show for you next week. A lot of topics to cover. So we appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week. Our last show before Christmas. You're not going to want to miss it.
Yep. All right. Good night, folks. God bless
Good night.
America.
God bless.